Hey there, YouTube. Today is June 23rd, 2013. Yesterday, the Young Turks and Cenk Younger, however you say his name, put out this video called "Did Ted Cruz immigrate to the U.S. illegally?" Well, to answer the question, yes, he did. Um, I don't even think Cenk realized it, but this is kind of like a does Ted still beat his wife kind of question. But Ted Cruz was born a United States citizen. He was actually born in Canada, but his mother was born and bred in the United States in the state of Delaware. And when you're born to a U.S. citizen, you are a U.S. citizen. His folks were up there working in the oil fields when he was born. So he is, even though born in Canada, he was born a U.S. citizen and never had to immigrate here because he's already a nationalized citizen. Okay, but really if you listen to this article or this YouTube video, what it's really all about is Ted Cruz's father. And the question is, did Ted Cruz's father come to the United States illegally? Of course, Cenk being very fond of a propaganda type style, this is really eye-grabbing, and if those of you don't really care too much about truth and you don't want to dig too much deeper, then you might just think, I even heard that Ted Cruz is an illegal alien, and he's Hispanic, kind of name like Cruz, that's got to be Hispanic. And that's what he's hoping for. He's hoping that people will not dig any deeper than that. However, I expect this from Cenk, and so with about 20 seconds, any of you can go online and just do a quick YouTube for, this one is where I had found out where Ted Cruz was born, found out his history there. But prior to that, I had Googled, how did Ted Cruz's father enter the country? And you could look at these top couple of ones, Salon, NPR, while they do try to demonize him a little bit, at least allows the story to come out pretty clearly that he did come here legally. Ted Cruz's father's name is Rafael Benedito Cruz. Right here you can see that. And as he explains his story, at the age of 16, actually it doesn't mention the ages here, but I've read some other articles. At the age of 16, he fought alongside Castro to try to defeat the dictator at the time, prior to Castro, which was Fulgencio Batista. And he got jailed and beaten up, and he lost out on that one. And then at about the age of 18, he said it's time to leave Cuba, so he applied to the University of Texas, and they admitted him. So then he went down to the consulate in Havana, the U.S. consulate, applied for a 4-year student visa. He was granted that visa, and then he was officially legal to enter the United States of America. In Cuba and other South American countries, bribery is a part of the way you do business. In fact, you have to budget in bribery money to travel to many places, because to get your luggage through, to get out of the airport, to deal with police officers who will pull you over, you have to have money to bribe them to be able to continue along your way. So bribery is normal business, but in any case, he did get his paperwork stamped, and he did get his exit pass. And off he went to the United States, and he showed up just like you're supposed to, right there at the Customs and Immigration office, and said, here's my paperwork, and I'm here to go to the University of Texas. And they said, welcome to the United States. I hope you do good in school. And so from then, he worked his way 50 cents an hour, washing dishes in a restaurant, paid his own way through University of Texas, graduated, went to work for the oil company, and met his wife here in America. They got married, and then off he went to Canada to work for a number of years in the oil fields. That's where Ted Cruz was born. Ted Cruz comes back here. So I have no problems, and I hope you don't either, if he had to bribe his way to get out of the country run by Mr. Batista, who had thrown him in jail and beat him up before being released. I think you got to do what you got to do to get out of that country. And we said he could come. So as far as we're concerned, he's legal. If somebody had to break rules to get out of Iran, if somebody had to break rules to get out of South Korea, we would not care. We would say, you're welcome, and especially if you filled out all the paperwork and we accepted you, then obviously he knew he was welcome before he went and started bribing people. But the other thing that Jank is getting on Ted Cruz about in the first 15 seconds here is that Ted is quoted as saying, in my opinion, if we allow those who are here illegally to be put on a path to citizenship, that's incredibly unfair to those who follow the rules. Now, I admit I'm not entirely familiar with all the details of the new immigration law. I know we've got, 11 million people here illegally. And so if you were waiting in line to become a U.S. citizenship, and then it turns out that there's people who had jumped the fence ahead of you, or however they got here, that absolutely does have an effect on your ability to get into the United States, because we have quotas, we have numbers. And we know that if there's 1 million people who came in, or just for round numbers, 100,000, then that means they're going to reduce the number that they let in by 100,000, because we don't have a no-holds-barred approach. We've got quotas per year of how many people can come in. So, and I'm going to tell you what that number is. So the quota for the United States, the U.S. legal immigration quota, is 1.061 million, and it's actually the largest in the world. So we do have a number of people that we want to allow in the United States. And if people come here illegally, let's say 500,000, then that would mean 500,000 people waiting in line would have to keep waiting in line. So clearly that would be a problem if you were waiting in line. I don't really see how you can argue any differently. If we have quotas, people come in outside the quota, those waiting in line who follow the rules, that is unfair to them. Yeah, they have to wait longer. And I'm going to argue with something else that Jank talks about here. He basically says, even though it's false, it's a lie, a tiny bit of research can show you that he came into the United States legally. Even if he came here illegally, Ted Cruz is not his father. I am not my father. Jank Younger is not his father, and I don't want to be held, even though my father was a good man, I don't want to be held to everything my father did and have to stand before Congress or the United States people and say, I will not say anything that my father did was wrong. No, that's not how you lead a country. The way you lead a country is you determine what is best for the country, and you do that. If your father stole something, you would not say it's okay to steal because your father did it. If your father came into the United States illegally, immigrated by breaking rules, whatever, you would not say in the best interest of our country that it's okay to do that just because your dad did. So Jank is asking Ted Cruz to abandon principle, abandon his intellect in terms of doing what's best for the United States, just because Jank implies that his father came here illegally. So Jank, in a minute 25, has done these things. He has let the casual observer think that perhaps Ted Cruz came to the United States illegally. He's implied or said right out in the once you watch the video that Ted Cruz's father came to the United States illegally. And then he also implies that coming into the nation, into U.S. illegally, is not unfair to those that are waiting and following the rules. And finally, he implies or makes the argument that we must follow the rules, all the actions, and be held by the actions of our fathers, whether they're right or wrong. So in this 1 minute and 25 seconds, there's almost like a major fallacy every 15 or 20 seconds. And that's really kind of, it's more like every 30 seconds typically for the Young Turks. So this one's really, it's really up there as a piece of work. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, and thank you for your time.